Jason Rantz is the host of The Jason Rantz Show and author of What's Killing America. He's in support of clearing the encampments. And then Donald Whitehead is the executive director of the National Coalition for the Homeless against the alleged moves by the city to clear out the homeless. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Jason, I'm going to start with you first. You know, the homeless encampments in Seattle, I was just there. It is pervasive how many people are there in the streets. Why would the city wait, though, until now, till just before the MLB game to do something?
Because MLB executives are in town, and the whole goal of this is to show that the city of Seattle is ready for these major events, and we would love to see more of them happen in Seattle. I want to see more of them happen in Seattle. It's great for the economy, but of course, when you've got a city that's overrun by homeless, it doesn't really send the right message, doesn't send the message that we're ready, and so they clearly, and I know they're claiming otherwise, they very clearly cleaned up 3 specific neighborhoods that are most impacted by the game.
It's interesting timing, and it's like we're not doing anything about it, and now we're going to do something about it because the All-Star Game is happening. Donald, this pushback from the homeless community in protest, very, very unique. Who's helping them organize?
Thank you for having me this morning. It's actually Donald Whitehead versus White House.
You know what? I apologize to you. Forgive us for that typo. That's horrible. We should never do that.
I'm the king of typos, so that's perfectly okay.
Thank you for being so forgiving.
Thank you. But 2 things I would say, first of all, I agree that this is really unique timing, and that, you know, this is something that has happened not only here in the United States, not only around sporting events, but around the Olympics all over the country. It happens during both Democratic and Republican conventions. It happens during any kind of big event. Atlanta, Salt Lake City were 2 places where we saw this. People were given one-way bus tickets. They were arrested. Everything that could be done to make homelessness invisible was being done at that time. Now, if we had invested those kind of resources into ending homelessness throughout the year, we wouldn't have those kind of problems. This is not the way to solve homelessness, but I will also say this. This isn't unique as far as protesting. People experiencing homelessness are starting to protest all over the country.
Well, protest, I guess, in an organized fashion in this way, because you have to have resources. Yeah. You have to print flyers. Usually that's not free, unless you're like scribbling a flyer on a piece of paper that's been, you know, thrown in the street. Somebody is helping them. Do we know who is actually helping them to galvanize?
Yeah, so on the ground, there are a lot of groups that are not necessarily nonprofit groups, but various activist organizations. We have an organization, for example, called Stop the Sweeps in Seattle. And to be clear, I don't actually think the homeless people are the ones responsible at all for this movement. I think it's the folks who are taking advantage of the homeless people, trying to use them as props in order to forward an ideologically driven agenda. When you talk to the actual folk, for example, here who have been impacted, they're like, yeah, I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to go somewhere else. They're not seemingly interested in participating in any of the political stuff.
Yeah, Donald, I mean, I want to give you a chance to respond here because I think that there's truth to that. The fact is that we have seen homeless people step out on the streets, even when cars are coming, decide to take over bus stops, you know, decide to take over intersections and say, I'm not moving. I have a right to be here. But to have people in mass with flyers that say I'm going to F up the MLB game, I would think that there's somebody behind all of this. Do you know of any organization similar to what Jason talked about?
Well, hopefully there are organizations that support homelessness and homeless people. Homelessness is a justice issue. We should not have homelessness in the richest country in the history of the world. And people experiencing homelessness, I think, sometimes get mischaracterized. They're people just like me and you. 40% of them work every day. Some of them probably work in the stadium where the All-Star Game is being held. My organization, for instance, 90% of our staff have experienced homelessness at some time, but so have people like Tiffany Haddish and Tyler Perry and all kinds of other people who are doing amazing things in this world. I think people are characterized as kind of less than, or people who are not people who could do that kind of thing themselves, but it's happening all over the country. People are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, this should not be happening. We should have enough affordable housing for everybody that needs it in this country, and housing should be a human right like it is in most of the rest of the world.
Donald, I think that you make some compassion. Go ahead, Jason, real quickly.
I was going to say housing is a human right. I don't even know what really that means in this context. You don't have the right to free housing as you would prefer. Let's be clear. We're talking about folks who are being cleared after given multiple opportunities to go into shelter. Some of them go into tiny home villages and others into hotel rooms that have been provided, and they're saying no. This idea that they're just like you and me is false. They're human beings and they deserve compassion. But the difference between me and you and so many of the other people who are choosing to live out on the street is that they're making that choice when given the options. Some of whom are dealing with addiction, many of whom are actually dealing with addiction and mental health issues that have been untreated. And instead of actually pushing for treatment, we simply say, well, housing is a human right. They're not homeless because of the housing crisis. They're homeless because of an underlying issue that is not being treated.
And thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.